Welcome to the Side Out Society podcast, your go-to place for the culture, stories, and community surrounding women's volleyball. I'm one of your hosts, Tiff Oshinsky.
And I'm Lindsay Harwood, your other host.
Lindsay, do you remember how old you were when you wanted to play volleyball?
Ooh, that's a good one. Probably like 6th or 7th grade when I was the tallest and I was 5'6". So I started playing middle and I think that was the end of my middle career. But I always loved it. I've been playing since then and we're still playing.
Yeah, I think that's when I wanted to start playing. I think I was about 11 years old, 12 years old. 13 was when I was like, yeah, I'm good at this. Would you say when you started playing that you knew you were destined to play?
I was destined to play? Probably not, but I am still proud to still be playing and winning some trophies. You know, I'm definitely no Olympian, but you know, we did well back in the day, and I still have my big trophies and my awards in my childhood home. So I don't want my parents to redecorate. I'm still proud of those.
That's right. Well, our guest today was not only destined to play the game, she technically started her career before she was even born. That's right. Her mom played the sport while she was pregnant with her. And then when she was born, she literally grew up in the volleyball gym. Our guest today is an Olympic medalist, a defensive setter who actually enjoys throwing herself into the floor to dig rockets. And she is proof that you can be born a Bears fan and still become a legend in Packers country. She grew up in Illinois, somehow survived decades in Wisconsin without converting, and has made herself indispensable in enemy territory. So much so, she came back to the Badgers as a coach, helping develop the next generation, including coaching the daughter of her current Love Madison head coach, which feels less like coincidence and more like the volleyball version of the multiverse. Now she's back on the court with Love Madison for season 2, running the offense, running the room, and turning chaos into choreography. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the setter, the strategist, and a true volleyball lifer, Lauren Carlini.
Wow.
Yay!
That was epic.
I hope you appreciated that.
I really did, especially the still current Bears fan, because we're still playing and the Packers are not.
So true. And as a Steelers fan who had the Packers' old quarterback, you know, we're not playing either. So there you go. It's like
I hear you.
Best of both worlds for you. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us, Lauren, especially with, I mean, you just finished college season. You're into the pro season now. I mean, how did you get a break?
No. I've been double dipping a lot, honestly. November and December are no joke, especially when we're starting preseason with Love. We're getting into tournament season and, you know, finishing off the Big Ten with college. And so those months get really difficult and really dicey. But it's a sport I love, and I love giving back to the current players that are on the Badgers, and especially Charlie, who I obviously work with on a daily basis, and then being able to still go and try to perfect my craft while I'm still an athlete.
Yeah. I mean, how do you find that balance? What are your hours like?
It's crazy. You know, the mornings we have all of our Love stuff. So practice from usually actually during those months, we'll bump it up to like 8:30, and then we'll get done with all of our stuff. So practice and lift and recovery around like 2, and then Badger practice starts at 2:30. So there's days I'm getting there right as setters are starting or as they're still in film, but we make it work, you know, and everyone's trying to be really cooperative and understanding of the situation that, hey, I'm doing both, but I'm giving 100% when I'm in each of those situations. So once Badger practice is over around 5 or 5:30, I grab dinner, I go home, and then I watch film, you know, for whatever matches that are coming up for the Badgers. And that's usually until like 9:30. So it's long days, but it's still fun.
Well, congrats on your first Love Madison win. That was exciting.
Yeah. I just, you never know the first match. Like, we don't have a ton of data. They don't have a ton of data. You kind of just, you know what you're seeing in practice. You don't know if it's going to actually translate sometimes, but it was really cool to see everything come together and the scrappiness of our team.
It was a nice little parody there, too, because Salt Lake just swept Houston, and then you come in and then you swept Salt Lake.
Yeah. And just last year we had so many 4 and 5 set matches, and that's been the case so far still. There's been a lot of those really competitive high level matches. So when you do see a 3-0 sweep, it's a bit of a shock, like, whoa, what happened there? But it was fun to be on the winning side of that.
I'm sure. So you have season 2 going on right now. Your team's similar to season 1, but there are some differences. Gong Xiangyu, I feel like, is one of those incredible additions to your team. What's it like having her on it?
It's been great, and we had a lot of turnover from last year, and having to replace Annie Drews, that's not an easy task by any means. And so having Gong come in and be a passing opposite, how rare that is in the world. I mean, almost no one else does it. I'm not sure if anyone else actually does it at the level that she does. And so she's just been so great. And one, trying to learn English and be really like receptive. She's actually so funny. And so for her to be able to be really embracing this and trying to understand English and speak a little bit more, it's fun to see her personality come out. But on the court, she's just been that steady presence that we need, both in passing and when her number is called. I mean, she hit 550, 600 on her match versus Salt Lake. So Miss Consistent over here for sure.
By the way, real quick, I knew without actually knowing, but I knew in my deepest heart that Annie was going to get pregnant this year.
Oh yeah.
I knew it when she said she was going to take this year off for help the younger generation play. I was like, she's going to get pregnant. I know she is.
She had that down to like a week of like, okay, this is how it's going to happen. And it worked out.
Yeah.
It's amazing all the athletes that are pregnant this year, like going through it together. It's so sweet.
It's so fun. And they're all within like a month of each other.
I know.
That's pretty crazy.
That Olympic team in 20 years is going to be insane.
Exactly. Oh my gosh.
Going back to Gong, have you taught her any English slang?
Not really. The other girls have been really good. Like she uses this translator app when she's trying to really learn like some of the slang, especially. And we're doing this 4-H thing. Basically, it's like hometown, hope, hero, and hardship. And she got to do hers the other day. It's basically just explaining your life and where you came from and a little bit of your story. And she said she was so nervous because she was rehearsing for like 2 or 3 days because she didn't want to mess up. So she had her notebook written down of all the English words. So she like read her entire PowerPoint and she did so good. Like she got a standing ovation after from our team.
That's so sweet. Wait, tell me more about that. Is that something that you do? Is that a new tradition? Is that like a culture piece just with your team? Like, how did that come to be?
Yeah. So Matt, our coach, just started at the beginning of season and wanted us to use it as a culture piece, because we have so many new players coming in. It was important for us to kind of build that camaraderie and that understanding of who we are as people and our story and where we come from. So yeah, every couple of days, there's a new person who's picked to go and do your 4-H's. And it's fun because you get to see, it's your hero and who that person means so much to, and all the pictures throughout their life of their parents or whoever it may be. Today, Bia, our Brazilian middle, went, and just seeing all the pictures from childhood and now and kind of hearing her story. I mean, it's just awesome to be able to hear from each of our new players, but everyone's been doing it, players and staff alike.
Have you gone yet?
Yeah. I was like, what are your 4-H's?
I did. It was in the middle of tournament season with the Badgers. So I will say mine was one of the shorter and not as well done ones. Everyone else has outshone mine by far.
Who did you pick? I'm curious if you're willing to share.
We talked about our hometown. So I'm from Aurora, Illinois, 2 hours south. Not a ton of fun facts about it. Some people have really cool hometowns. Mine's just the second biggest city in Illinois.
Also, Wayne's World. Wayne is from Aurora, Illinois.
I did put that in there. I did. Hometown hero was my dad. He's just been a great supporter of my career, and as a firefighter has served and protected for, he's, I think 30 years he did it. Let's see. Hope for the next generation, right? And I showed basically the Badgers and the team we're on now, and just wanting to grow the sport and be a great ambassador for that, especially with here in Love. And then heartbreak was just my injury when I was in the Olympics, and not knowing if I was going to play in another Olympic match after just playing in one, and being able to come back and still compete and win an Olympic silver medal like that. Heartbreak, but also got to see some positive on the other side of it as well.
I have to say I was in Paris and I went to your game, and it was so exciting. And, to be able to see that and just knowing your story about the tryouts, you've been outspoken about it, about, being on the national team and trying out and not making it, or being an alternate, if I'm correct. And then can you talk to me a little bit about what that was like and what you had to overcome? And I know like we would consider you one of the best players in the world, right? And like that doesn't mean that we don't have heartbreak or really tough times. Like what was your mental state and how did you overcome that to be where you are today?
Yeah, I think at the time it's hard, right? Like you work your entire life towards one goal and that goal, that dream gets crushed. And so in the moment, it's about just letting my emotions sit and me be okay, like sitting in those of the sadness and the embarrassment in a sense, and just there was no regret. There was never regret in anything that I did or how I went about it. It was like anger too, there's just so much that goes into it. And I think with any team, any roster composition, there's puzzle pieces that have to fit together to make it work. And that first Olympics, I was not the right puzzle piece for that team. And that's okay. It taught me when I went back overseas, all right, what do I need to hone in on? What do I need to go and perfect even more in my craft? And what are the things that are going to make the difference 3 years from now when another roster selection is made? And so working those 3 years and chipping away at the little things that I needed to get better at, I think it gained my confidence as well. And then at the end of the day, I can say I did everything I possibly could. And that's the most important thing. So when I made the roster for Paris, it was like, okay, all that hard work, all of that heartbreak, it was worth it because I came out on the other side and was able to achieve this amazing dream and goal of mine.
I got the opportunity to interview you before you found out the official decision when we did Serving Pancakes with Love the first season of the podcast. But because you were in that state, in that limbo of not knowing yet, I mean, going into the final decision and like waiting to hear if you made it, are you trying to stay calm with, the emotions saying like, I did what I can, or are you anticipating like, I got this, I'm going into it? Like how do you kind of handle that anticipation?
Yeah, I think it depends on the hour and minute. There are some days where it's like, okay, I'm feeling pretty good. Like I had a great couple days of practice, it's every day matters, truly. Like every day matters, every stat matters at the end of it. And so when it got to be decision time, when that time was coming, I felt pretty good about where I was at. But you just never know. You don't know because, again, it's the puzzle pieces. I may not have been the puzzle piece that they were wanting or looking for that they could justify. And so it's hard when it's also two returners who were on the previous Olympics, right, with Mike and with Pult. And so to be able to take one of those spots is extra difficult from a previous Olympian. So, gosh, just so much respect for them as players and as athletes, too. Like, just they're incredible. And all of us have been at it for a really long time. And it was just, I don't know, finding out, it was such joy and happiness, but also understanding of what it feels like to be on the other side of that and to be into someone else's shoes when they didn't make it, when, your goals and your dreams get crushed. So it's having that grace, it's finding that balance, but of course, like still celebrating and being so overly joyed at, the opportunity to go and represent my country.
When it came to Wisconsin this year, I mean, the Badgers had an amazing run. It was sad to see you guys lose in the semifinals, but I mean, watching everything that unfolded during the season was so fun. There's so much promise for the future. But when it did come to that semifinal loss, were you able to take, what you learned both from not making the team and making the team and using that to help the girls kind of overcome that sadness? Or what did you tell the girls when, the season did end, especially knowing that girls are going to be graduating and they might not play together again?
That's the time where we let them kind of sit with their emotions. And, Kelly had his speech at the end of it and was just really proud of this group. And it was so refreshing for us as a staff to have this kind of team, the youthful energy, the joy every day, the silliness, the goofiness, where at times it was a bit like, okay, guys, come on, reel it in. There was also this other part of it that was so fun to see. It didn't matter how the day before went. It didn't matter how the serve fest went. When it was game time, they showed up and they showed out. And it was just a really refreshing season. And so I think halfway through it, when Charlie got hurt, we were not expecting to make it to a Final Four. We were not expecting to be within 2 points of going to a national championship match. And so a lot of it was after that last match, it was still gratitude. It was, of course, 2 points at the end of the day. That's all that makes the difference in this sport, in this game. Oh, celebration.
That's a celebration time.
And of course, the seniors are graduating, but they're going out on a note that they should not be hanging their heads on. It's something that they should walk out with their heads high and be proud. And of course, I had my time with Charlie after, just to say like, hey, we could not have done this without you, and the steps that you've taken this year as a setter, as a leader, you're going to do even more incredible things in these upcoming years and past Wisconsin. So just really excited to see what this new group can do. And we have a lot of incoming freshmen and new faces, kind of similar to Love, like that kind of a lot of new energy, a lot of new faces. Let's see what we can do when everything comes together. And it's really exciting.
Setters touch every single ball, every point for the most part. And they also like shape the emotional rhythm of the team and the culture and calling plays. What do you take that to heart, like when you're playing and as a leader, as a coach, and like what message are you passing on to Charlie and to some of the younger players as well, like from a setter's perspective, and then also just the cultural perspective? Like when we were there watching just the practice, you could see the joy of the Wisconsin team, and it was really fun to watch. Yeah. And I'm just curious, like how you feel as a leader, like how are you, like what conversations are you having, and how are you leading the next generation?
I think with that, it's about knowing what each person brings. So what Carter Booth bring to the team was very different than what Charlie Frentbringer brings to a team. And if Charlie tries to start acting like Carter, or Carter tries to start acting like Charlie, that's not authentic. It's not what the team needs. It's very hard to be able to get on board and follow a messaging that needs to happen at that point. So it's really important to choose carefully who your captains are and who decides to lead your team and be the messenger between the staff and the players. Like this connection is so important. Kelly does a great job of that. The staff does a great job of that, of just figuring out what works best and who is going to be best in that position. Throughout the season, we have these meetings, of course, with the captains and with other players like Mimi, who are so integral to a team, and figure out, all right, where are we, where we need to get better at, and what's something that this week we can really focus and dial in on. What does the messaging need to look like? So for Charlie, it's maybe, hey, keep using your voice. Let's be positive, but also like we need you to be a little bit more demanding and have more of a presence on the court. Carter, you keep doing what you're doing. We need your standards. We need your voice, but also like, let's keep it focused here. All right. Like it needs to be one thing at a time, not 10. And it's fun because as a leader, you get to kind of adapt and adjust as the season goes on, and you're going to run into little issues as you go. And how can we fix those as quick as possible? And that starts with the captains a lot of the time. So being able to have those talks with Charlie and Carter, and be a bit of a sounding board as well. Like I'm still in it. I'm still leading a team and learning things and figuring out how to communicate with people effectively. And I get to kind of pass on that knowledge to them as well. So it's been really fun to kind of balance those two sides.
You're an amazing setter. You're an amazing athlete. You are an amazing communicator in general, both as a setter and as a person. You're fun. You're outgoing. I feel like you being a coach just seems super logical, but I had seen, I'd read and seen that you were very hesitant to even enter coaching. Why were you so hesitant?
Me and Kelly were actually having this talk like a week and a half ago. And I think the first part of it was, I think about like club level, and I don't want to have to hold someone else's hand. I want them to want to be here. I want them to be the best version of themselves every single day and have a goal of somewhere where they want to be. So I think my mind was more on like club coaching and youth level rather than college. And with college, I don't know, I guess I never thought I would be good at communicating what I'm thinking or what I'm seeing and then getting it to someone else for them to comprehend that and be able to latch onto it and make that adjustment. Turns out I'm pretty good at it.
So, I would say so.
So it's one of those things where it's still an acquired taste, honestly. There's some parts of it I absolutely love, truly. And there's other parts where I'm like, this isn't my favorite. I don't love going and watching film for 3 hours every single night. But like with any job, right, there's going to be roses and thorns. So I think having really consistent communication with Kelly about that, understanding that I do bring value to the girls who are still playing, like to Badgers, like, because I'm still playing, I still have a bit of a chip on my shoulder, and they like respect me because I'm still in it almost with them. So I do appreciate that. And, I've been in places where they want to go. And so there is a lot of kind of weight and value that comes with that. Do I want to be a head coach one day? I don't know. That feels very far in the future because there's so much to it besides just coaching. So yeah, one step at a time. But I do say, like, I have great mentors and role models with John Shondell and Britt Dildine and Gary White and Kelly Sheffield, who've been together for many, many, many years. And so for me to be able to watch them and how they communicate with players, how they try and pull the best out of everyone, incredible people to be able to learn from, truly.
Speaking of Kelly Sheffield, you started your career in Wisconsin at the same time he started his career in Wisconsin. Has he changed at all? Is he still the same Kelly Sheffield from 2013 as he is today?
He hasn't changed, and neither has his playlist.
Except for his hair.
His hair has gotten a little bit thinner, as all of us. Playlist hasn't changed. He hasn't changed. Yeah, he is as consistent as they come.
Can you give me an example of like Kelly Sheffield from 2013 that you still see today, whether it's mannerisms or his playlist, the music he plays?
All right. Well, his one thing he always says is, what's jumping out at you? And that's his way of saying, hey, what are you saying? All right. Anything you got to tell me? Some days it's like, all right, this is it. And other days I'm like, I've heard this for 10 years. Ask another question. He is very witty. And so there are times he loves his playlist. He loves his old music and his old references of like YouTube videos, movies. So he's asking girls who, by the way, were born in like 2003 about a movie from 1978. He's like, oh yeah, do you remember this? And they're like, I've literally never even heard of that. So then he has to go and he has to pull up the YouTube clip of that's 8 minutes long, and he forces you against your will to watch it. It's not that funny most of the time. It's just like his humor that he loves and he thinks is so witty and funny. Yeah, it misses the mark sometimes. But as girls get younger and like the age gaps gets bigger and bigger, it gets funnier. It does.
Well, I feel like the girls are also teaching him stuff like him on TikTok is hilarious and I want to see more of it.
I'm sure he's going to get sucked into doing more of that. Like the fake jumping and then like whatever the 6'7" thing is, which even I don't understand. I don't have TikTok, proudly non-TikToker over here. So I can plead the fifth that I don't know any of this that's going on.
My son and daughter both do the 6'7", and I think it's not supposed to mean anything. I think it's literally just that. It's
okay.
Just being silly.
Like, yeah, someone said the other day, it's like our equivalent of like 1738. It actually doesn't mean anything. Just beginning of a Fetty Wap song.
I think it is. I think it's actually exactly the same because people are trying to reference that it was part of some song from a few years ago. I don't even know. I just let them do the hands and
there you go. Just let them
let
live.
It go, right?
Yeah.
Have you noticed with the younger girls like a change in mentality from when you used to play to the girls who are playing now?
The landscape of college volleyball certainly has changed. No one can disagree with that. Do I think that it's taken away young women's wills to want to be an Olympian, to want to be on the national team, to want to go to the next level? Absolutely not. I think if anything, there's even more of a drive to do it now because we have professional leagues in the States, because there's so many more opportunities than what we had when I was in school. And so the drive and the passion is still there. And is there maybe a little bit more focus on external things like social media and NIL and stuff like that? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, volleyball is still the main thing, if that makes sense. And so, of course, the old bitter hag here, I want to say, oh, everything's so different than what it used to be.
Get off my lawn.
Do they get extra perks? Yes. We couldn't get cream cheese. We couldn't get rides from coaches when it was blizzarding. It is what it is. All right. The rules are different now. You either get on board with the train or you get lost at the end of the day. So that's kind of where I stand with it, honestly.
Well, it's also helping the sport, right? Like, I feel like the sport has clearly grown so much in popularity when it comes to audience, people knowing who these girls are off the court, knowing who you are off the court as professionals. But what do you think is still missing from volleyball that you wish people were doing or people were seeing?
Good question. I do think that, especially now, most top level college teams, they have their marketing team, right, and their media. And I think Wisconsin particularly has done a really good job of sharing stories of our players and of just kind of how they came to be and how they came to be a Badger. I think that's really important. And so the storytelling part of it, I think, still has some room to grow in this sport, especially now if we're going to use social media as a platform to be able to share our stories and give more about the person behind the player. I think that's really important. So that, and just the way, again, it's not going to go from 0 to 100 in terms of all of a sudden we're the biggest sport in the world. But steady steps, I think, is what we're taking right now. And just college is really taking off in terms of viewership and, the ability to get on more airtime. I think that will follow with the professional league as well. So again, baby steps. It's not going to be an overnight process, and it's just about being patient and making sure that we're doing the right things in order to keep moving this sport forward.
I would be remiss not to ask. So after Wisconsin ended their season and the transfer portal opened, I think a lot of people were talking about transfers that have left Wisconsin. And then Kelly recently went on a podcast giving some behind the scenes, which honestly, a lot of coaches don't even talk about. And I appreciated the openness and honesty from him, because you don't hear he's very respectful, but he was honest about it.
Yeah.
What was that like behind the scenes? If you're willing to talk about it, like what happened? Because a lot of people have been talking about it. I'm curious.
Yeah. Honestly, I was not privy to most of this information. I was already on vacation and gone overseas. But yeah, the transfer portal, I think the one thing that does need to change in college sports is the transfer portal for volleyball. By the time we finished, the transfer portal had already been open for 2.5, 3 weeks, I believe. And so teams that were finished had the ability to go and talk to players and get players that were already in the portal. For us, we didn't know until the night we finished that these girls were wanting to transfer, had interest in leaving. And so by then, a lot of the higher picks or the more prominent players in the portal were already gone. And so I think being able to move that to a timeline of early January when all the teams are done, it's more of an equal playing field. I think that would be something that hopefully the NCAA changes in the next couple of years. Was 6 a bit of a shock? Absolutely. But with the change of the college landscape, right? Like when I was in school, if you transferred to another Big Ten school, you lost a year of eligibility, period. And so just how different that is now. And you see girls go to 3 or 4 different schools. It's wild to think about, but that's kind of the market. And that's how it is right now. In terms of agents, I do think that's one big difference that a lot of people don't know about. When you are a professional, the team or the club pays for that agent fee. Whereas in college, universities are not paying for that agent fee. So a lot of these agents that are working with college players are taking money directly from the players, and they're asking triple, if not 4 times what our agents get as professionals. And they're taking money directly.
Illegal.
Wow.
Yeah. And so all of us kind of came to find this out after the fact, unfortunately. And it's just kind of sad to hear that players at the end of the day are getting the short end of the stick and getting, a fourth of their money taken away by agents. And so I hope that changes as well. I think I'll add that to the last question as well. I think that's one thing that absolutely needs to be policed much, much stronger than what it is now.
Yeah, I feel like with all the transfers, waiting till everybody's done for a fair playing field makes perfect sense and makes total sense. So I hope that eventually they do that. But I mean, one of the good things for you guys, especially, you have the top incoming class according to all the rankings. You guys had the number 1 pick. I mean, or not the number 1 pick, but like the number 1 incoming students and athletes. And watching the UA Next All-American game, I mean, your girls were crushing it out there. So I feel like Wisconsin's got a very bright future despite these transfers.
For sure. And we're so excited about this group because, I mean, they've been together since day one and they are such a tight knit group coming in. And even one of them, Audrey Flanagan, who wasn't going to come in early, she saw everyone at the UA Next game and only 3 girls out of that whole entire group were not going to college early. And she was like, oh, I think I'm making a big mistake. And so had a conversation with Kelly, and of course, football portal had just opened, and it was like, oh, if football players are still getting into school, we can still get our kids into school. So that's where we're really lucky to be able to have our entire class, our freshman class, coming in and getting a spring training semester. That's going to make a massive difference when fall time comes versus, having 3 weeks versus having how many months, 3 months to be able to train together and get something going.
Yeah, 100%. I want to ask you a very off the beaten path question because I feel like I've learned so much about you, over these years and you playing and everything. But what is something that you wish people asked you about but never do?
Oh, something I wish people asked me about but never do. Gosh, honestly, I think one thing that's harder, like I guess easier said than done, is balancing different parts of your personality. So I'm not saying I have like multiple personality disorder, but I'm a very understanding person and I like to help my teammates whenever I can. However, I hold a very high standard for myself and therefore my teammates. And so when it's practice time and the standard isn't being met, it's a very fine line to walk in terms of bringing that to attention, demanding more out of people, but still knowing that I support them and I care about them. And I'm doing it for the betterment of the team. And it's that circle back effect after practice of like, hey, are you doing okay? Like, hey, way to pick it up after that. So I'm not sure if it's a question it's asking. It's more so like, how do you balance leadership and the standard that you want to have in practice, but also making sure that people know you care about them as a person and as a player. It's just such a fine line to walk. And it's really hard. At times you're going to hurt people's feelings or you're going to say the wrong thing. And it's just acknowledging that and owning up to mistakes. That's one thing I've gotten much better at over my years is like acknowledging when I made a mistake or I said something wrong and getting better and learning from that. And so maybe it's not the funnest of questions, but I think that's one thing that goes like kind of unnoticed at times for sure.
Well, we had Jordan Larson on the podcast last week, and we were talking to her about, playing adult rec league after she's done playing professional. But I mean, if you were to play adult rec league, would you be able to separate that knowing like, okay, this is just for fun, but we're here to win, guys?
That is a good one. I don't know if I would honestly probably try to stay away from volleyball because I think I would actually get angry and I wouldn't want that. It's weird because I'm really not that competitive of a person when it comes to like card games or trivia or other like pickleball. Like I care, but I'm not going to fight somebody over it. And volleyball, I think I'd rather just not touch so that I don't tap into that anger part, which I so easily do as an athlete.
Well, I feel like that works for you on the court. So
Yeah.
keep doing that on the court.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously. That's how you orchestrate that offense so well.
Yes, exactly. Pure frustration and anger.
All right. Well, Lindsay, do you have anything else you want to ask before
we're so grateful that you're here. And we can't wait to see you play. We'll have to come see you in person again. And we wish you so much luck for the next love season.
Yes, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.